What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the O1 Studio Seed, or their version of a masterpiece-ish scale Primus. So this is the second under the label O1 Studio. The first one was Cell, which was their version of Unicron. And I did actually buy that figure, but I sold it since then, so I don't have it here to compare today. We will compare this guy with the HasLab Unicron, which I think most people are going to show it with the Studio Cell just because it's the right size. But you can stay tuned for that. Now, I was really excited for this guy because I think he looks really good. He's got really nice paint and deco and details. And I like the size of the planet mode. It is a little bit smaller, but I think it's going to go well with the HasLab Unicron. And again, we'll show that later. There's quite a few things you need to do out of box here. Now, just so you know, O1 Studio is basically the same company as Zeta. So there's a lot of things on this that feel a lot like Zeta. And they are the same company. They basically changed the name so they could produce the Unicron in this. But let's take a look at some of the things you need to do out of box. And I showed some of it in the unboxing, but I'm going to start down here. First, you have to secure these feet. So if you fold the feet out, lift up this panel, you'll see down here, and I recommend a spudger to take things apart, but there's 2 pegs and 2 slots. That'll be not detached during the when you get out of the box. So accordion down that double hinge and then fold the foot flat and then really get it pressed in there. And that'll hold that foot a little bit better. And you also want to fold out the heel spur. I think I showed that under the unboxing. You also need to tab in these panels. It might have popped out. There's a slot here and a tab here. So you want to tab those 2 in. This gun piece will also tab in on the side of his leg. You can basically just open this up and peg this in. They kind of look like Gatling guns, but if you don't want those, you can just kind of fold that up, hide it like that. Obviously, I'm going to show them because they look really good. Got some paint detail and stuff, but that'll plug in here. Another thing is this panel right here on the knee. If you open up the knee right here, there's a little panel right there. And in order to get it out, you're going to need a spudger to get between that panel. Open this up, fold that knee down, and that's how it should sit, is on top of that. And there's a little bit more to go, so coming to the arm. This panel right here, and this back panel here. And I'll take it out just for demonstration purposes, but this, out of package, at least for me, was hinged back like this and sitting loose. So you want to hinge this down. There's 2 pegs and 2 slots on the back of his arm. So you're going to slide this down and then peg this in, and that will really secure it. And then this panel has a slot right here and a tab right there. So that will peg onto the back of the arm. And then this one has 2 slots and 2 pegs, and that'll tab to the side of the arm. And once you do all that, it really secures all these panels. So he just looks much more cohesive and put together. And it feels better too. Another thing you need to do is install all these little orange pieces. So any little translucent orange you see, you have to do it yourself. It comes on this runner. There's a lot of them. There's like 106 total pieces in the box on 2 runners like this. There's basically 2 duplicate runners. Now in planet mode, I'll show you again where some of those things go. They're not visible here in robot mode, so you do have to transform it to install all of them. But it really enhances the look once you put those translucent pieces on there. The other thing you have to do is put these spikes on there. So there's 10 spikes total, 2 sets of 5. There's no instructions on where to put them. I found where they fit best and where they stay. So that's where I put them. 1 here, 1 on the front, 1 on the side of the arm, 1 on the back of the arm, 1 on the top of the shoulder, and then same on the other side. Obviously, there's different places you can put them. I think that's the best configuration. I put the taller one on the top here. It seems to fit best there. But like I mentioned, you can kind of put them however you like. I just preferred it in this configuration. For transformation, you do want to remove those spikes because it's going to get in your way and it's going to poke you. But you can leave all of these panels in there. Those are basically permanent once you put them in. And once you do all that, now you're ready for action. And you can see this guy has tons of detail, accents, gunmetal paint, silver paint, blue paint, translucent orange, red accents. I mean, it's got a lot going on. The planet mode parts really compact down on the legs and arms. They're not intrusive at all. They just kind of get out of the way. You can see I am doing a crotch thrust here. I have the thigh joint angled back 1 click and then the ab crunch angled forward 1 click. We'll go over articulation in a minute. But he stands best with that configuration just because he balances really perfectly when you have it like that. But really nice detail and sculpt work on this. Let's go over the articulation. The head is on a rotating swivel. So it rotates around, goes up to there, and down to there. It doesn't really go down much. I wish it went down a little bit more. But if you slide it back, it slides off pretty easily. It's on a little mushroom peg right there. There's what the head looks like. But he does come with this alternate head sculpt. So this is meant to look more like the comic, I believe. I'm not an expert on this, but comic head, toy head, I think. They both look really good. Nice paint, sculpt, detail, metallic gold eyes on both. This one, same thing. You can just slide it forward into that groove, and now same thing. He's got the rotation up and down. This one actually goes down a little bit more, just maybe it's due to the sculpt. But let's take it out because I want to show that this can do a bunch of other stuff. So it's actually a little alpha trion hit on there, and actually this is the sleeve that allows him to attach. It comes off a little bit easily, so my preference is to use this head just because it's more secure. But if you take that off, we can pull him out of here. And here's what he looks like. And here's the helmet. You can actually pull the head off, or the face off as well. And I wish there was a way to attach this, but that's what it looks like without the helmet and the face. And we're left with this. You can open up his legs, unpeg the arms from the side, unpeg the legs from each other, fold down the feet, and there's your mini Alpha Trion. And he looks really good. Got some nice purple paint, silver paint, blue paint for the eyes. It's very well done. Articulation, arms on a shoulder or on a ball joint, goes all the way around up to there. Elbows are also on a ball joint, an 90-degree bend. Hands are just sculpted in to the arms. You have a waist rotation here. If you have that face on the back, it doesn't really rotate, but take that face off, it works a lot better. Legs kick up to there, back to there, again on a ball joint, out to the side. You have no rotation at the thigh. 90-degree bend at the knee, and then ankle tilt forward and backward. You'll see there's a little piece of metal. It's actually a magnet on the bottom. And the purpose of that is to light up this head. So if you open up this, there is a battery compartment, and they take 2 AG0s. I didn't have AG0s, so I had put a different battery in there. I don't know if it's because they're not the right battery or if they're weak, but the light up feature doesn't work all that well. Now these eyes are painted in gold chrome. That might be part of the issue, but if you put this back in, all right, and here is the magnet, and it doesn't seem to work. So I have another magnet that's a little bit more powerful. And you can see now the lights are on. It's very, very subtle. When I turn it off, you can see the difference, but it's a very, very subtle light. There isn't a lot, to be honest. And again, I'm not sure if it's my battery or what, but this chest light also lights up. Same battery compartment and everything. It's a little difficult to get out of here, so I recommend using a double-sided Siggy tape once you put it in there to take it off and then replace the batteries if you need to, but that lights up with the magnet. All right, continuing on with this guy, we do get some features here. You can open this up, and that reveals some missile pods in his chest. Now, he is symmetrical, so both sides have it, but that's pretty cool. It's very nicely painted and detailed. That looks really cool. If you come to the other side, he's got the same thing, but on this side, this is really meant to hold the display stand. So we get these pieces of display stand, just 4 of them. You're going to attach them together using these pegs. And the other thing you had to do, which I kind of did before, is attach these little rubber grommets. And that's just for some grip when we are in planet mode. But looks like this. You're going to take these 2 pegs, they're going to peg into the bottom of these red pieces. It's not the most secure fit, to be honest. It doesn't stay all that well. But I do recommend you open up these top panels first and get this underneath those, and then peg it into the bottom. And so it should look like that. You can see it's kind of drooping. I just wish it stayed a little bit better. But you can attach it there on the back. All right, let's go over the articulation on this guy. The guns up here are on ball joints, so they go up and down. You can rotate them out to the side. I like to have them kind of faced forward like that. You can do whatever you want. We talked about the head already, rotating swivel. Shoulders on a double hinge, so you have this outer hinge, and then you have the inner hinge. So you can get the shoulders all the way up to there. Down to there. Nice tight ratchets. Zeta feel to them. You have a rotation all the way around on another tight ratchet. You have a rotation here at the bicep. Double jointed elbow on a die cast hinge. So that bottom one goes first, and then you can do the top one. And if you move this panel out of the way, you can get a little bit more. But that works pretty well. For the hands, you have a ratcheted swivel. You have individually articulated fingers on 2 pins and then a ball joint. They will splay out a little bit just because they're on ball joints. Thumb is on a double pin and then a ball joint at the base. Very nice hands, typical of Zeta or O1 Studio. They're very well done. Coming down to the waist, you have 2 waist swivels. Upper waist swivel here, lower waist swivel here. So you can get him kind of double twisted, which is pretty neat. Coming to the back, just to show you the ab crunch, I mentioned earlier I have him already kind of crotch thrusted, but there's a lower ab crunch that goes 2 clicks, and then upper ab crunch. So there's 2 on this one, 2 on that one. Nice sculpted and painted detail underneath that ab crunch. You don't always get stuff like that with big guys like this. So that's, to me, that's pretty impressive. I really like that they included that. Coming to the legs, you have hip skirts that will fold out in all directions. You have a forward kick all the way up to there. That's pretty darn good. Back to there, and it does hold nice and tight. Out to the side. Nice tight ratchet. You have a rotation at the thigh, really nicely hidden thigh swivel. I think it's a mushroom peg, but it's very, very well done. For the knee, I mentioned there's actually a joint down here. You don't want to use that. You want to use the 2 joints. It is a double jointed knee, but you want to use the right one. So hold this and bend. Again, die cast joint in the knee. And I went to, see, I bent the wrong one, right? You want to bend the top one. So there's a joint there and a joint there. So you can get it well past 90 degrees on the double joint. And a nice die cast joint holds very well, very well. And just be cautious not to use this joint. That's not the right one. Coming down to the feet, you have ankle tilts on a hinge. This is not my preference for ankle tilts. It does work. It is nice and tight. But sometimes it can collapse on that, so you just gotta kind of readjust it down, but that works. Ankle tilt, backward and forward on a ratchet. This panel gets stuck down if you tilt his foot down, so just be aware that don't try to lift it up, it won't lift up. And for a quick size comparison, there it is next to a Zeta Toys Supertron, their version of Superion, one of the earlier combiners, and the Magic Square Optimus Prime. And you can see the current combiner scale is actually a little bit bigger. And that same thing was true for the O1 Studio Cell, their Unicron. And I always wish that it was just slightly taller, at least the same height as these, I think would look good. But either way, it's a big bot, so there you go for sense of scale. And there it is next to the HasLab Unicron Earlier I mentioned I don't have the Studio Cell, and it does look a little small next to him, but I actually kind of like it. It makes Unicron more imposing. You know, he's a planet eater. He's going to eat the Cybertron. So it is bigger, but we'll see that more in the planet mode comparison later. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into his planet mode. Since the transformation is very involved, it's going to take a very long time. I don't want to make this video very long. Also, it's pretty tough to show on camera. So I'm going to get it transformed off camera. I'll be right back. And I'll try to put out a separate video for the transformation. All right, and there we have Seed in planet mode. And I have to say, it's a lot of work to get here, but it is worth the result that you get. Now, right away, you want to use the stand. I just have him set so he's not sitting on a spike. But if you take this thing and you open up these, they tab in right here, so you just click them in place. By the way, I did install all of these rubber grommets, so that helps kind of stabilize it. So open up all four. And by the way, I never figured out what these smaller little rubber pieces were from the package. I'm probably going to put my own rubber just on these to stabilize the planet, make it, you know, a little more protective. But pretty cool. You got a space bridge here. And if you lift up the planet, I like to put it down on this. It's actually symmetrical. They have one on each side. It just seems like the best place to put it, where it's not hitting any spikes and everything fits in there. So that's sort of how I do it. But there is the planet mode. And I have to say, this thing really looks good. You can see I did put in all of these little orange pieces. I'm going to talk about that now. I didn't do them all. So here's how it comes. So you actually get two runners like this. There's 106 pieces in here. So you have 22 large ones like this. Actually, sorry. Those are extra. I have 2 left. So there is a little bit of extra. But there's 22 of these big ones. 20 of these medium-sized ones between the 2 runners. And then there's 36 small ones, this size right here. And then there's another 28 of these ultra small ones. Now, I just didn't have the patience to hold on to these. They're very hard to grasp and put in place. There's tiny holes to put them in. So I did not install these really small ones. It's just too much for me. But I did do everything else. So I was left with pretty much 2 of the big ones, I think 4 of these smaller ones, although a couple of them went into my carpet and they're gone. And then I have all the really tiny ones because I'm not going to put them in. Maybe one day I'll just put them in when I'm bored, but it was a lot of work to get it, but it is worth the look that you end up getting. The spikes, like I mentioned, you should take them out and then you can put them back in once it's in planet mode, once you've transformed it. It does come together quite nicely, and I do like this display stand. I think overall it's a very good looking planet mode. And for a quick size comparison, there it is next to the Magic Square version of Optimus Prime and their little mini Alpha Trion here. And obviously it doesn't scale in planet mode with either one of these. You could kind of put it with some legends, but at the end of the day, it's really just a display piece. And for another fun size comparison, there it is next to the HasLab Unicron, which is ginormous. I don't even have the rings on it, and that takes up more room, but I can't fit that in my area here. And I think most reviewers are probably going to show it with the O1 Studio Cell, their version of Unicron, if they show it at all. So that's why I figured I might as well show it with this Unicron. So final recommendations on the O1 Studio Seed. I really like this guy. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5. I'm going to recommend it. I really like how the robot mode and planet mode look. There's so much detail and sculpted work and paint and just little things to look at that it really catches your eye on the shelf. It's actually more attractive than the HasLab Unicron just because it's got a lot going on. The planet mode looks really good. Accessories also work well. I like the little Alpha Trion. The alternate head is really nice. One thing I would have liked is if we could have swapped this Alpha Trion with kind of like a core head piece. So you could use this head and have the minifigure. Without the minifigure, you can't use it, but here's what it looks like. It actually looks like the Marvel Sentinel face or head sculpt. It's really well done, but that would have been a nice addition, is if they had a core that you could use. But other than that, all the accessories work. As far as the setup, it is a big pain in the butt. It took me hours and hours to get all of these little yellow pieces in there. You know, over 100 pieces. I didn't even put them all in. And it just takes forever to do that. The spikes aren't too bad. There's only 10 of them to put in, and you can move them around. You can take them out for transformation. So those are relatively convenient and not a nuisance at all. But the little accent pieces, definitely, you know, a huge nuisance. I wish they'd put that in for you. The transformation, also not very fun. I was expecting that because that's how Studio Cell was too. Very difficult transformation, especially to show on camera. Now, I'm planning to do another transformation video so I can show it on camera. Hopefully I build up the courage to do that. But all in all, I really like this. I do wish it was a little bit taller to line up with other Zeta-style combiners, but I'm pretty happy with it overall. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.